This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast. I'm sitting here with John and TC. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Another week, another podcast.
Just knocking another one out here.
Yep. So this week we're doing The Shining. It's made in 1980. It's directed by Stanley Kubrick. The synopsis is: a family heads into an isolated hotel for the winter where a sinister presence influences the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific forebodings from both past and future. And this week, it's Halloween, guys. Oh, no, it's not. It's too bad they didn't line up with this.
No.
It's getting close.
It's getting close.
It's starting to get into fall.
Yeah. And so this week, it's TC.
Oh.
Lands on TC over here.
Oh, does it now?
Yeah. How many times have you seen this movie, and what did you think watching it this time?
I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. I actually didn't remember parts of it, so I think I had seen it when I was real young.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I got it up on the 5.1. I had it nice and loud, like I was telling Denny right before this. I've never heard a piercing noise that I wanted to hear so loud. Consistently, too, where it was just like, oh, fuck.
It's a knife through my brain. Do that more.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I was EQing it so that it wasn't like destroying my head, but yeah, it was, I had it loud. I mean, this movie's something else. I forgot how just like, you just get lost watching this one, and you're just lost in the story. And like, not lost in the sense that you don't know what's going on, but just like, nothing else around you is going on. Like, I was just glued to the TV last night watching this. Jack is something else, isn't he? He really is. He has a way of smiling that just makes you want to run her out of the room, He was just something else. I don't know how he decided to act that way. Maybe Kubrick was telling him what to do, but like almost all his reactions were of laughter that were supposed to be scary, right? And it was like sinister. The creepy kid, I could do without the creepy kid. The fucking Tony.
Why? Just the
it's just scary.
Oh, it's too scary?
Yeah, it's just scary. Yeah, I could do without him. You know what I mean? Like every time he talked, I was like, "There's something wrong with this kid," right? Like, of course there is. But
so you love this movie, but didn't like the scary parts? Is that
no? I'm just saying it like it's good. It's like
its job.
It did its job, right? Like I was sitting there sometimes and I was noticing like my palms were sweating. It's just one of those movies that, young kids should never see this. There's just a lot of good, there's a lot of good everything in this, right? There's amazing cinematography. There's really intentional sound. There's just open spaces, which makes things creepy. I mean, the location itself is gorgeous, right? I mean, there's just some stuff that you could shoot it any way you want and it's going to look great, There's just that part with the old lady. I could do without that too.
Things.
Young lady, I was all right with that. When as soon as she got old, it all kind of decaying there.
The young lady was cool, but like as soon as the rot came out, I wasn't so thrilled.
But good thing you weren't a consultant on this film, TC. There wouldn't have been much left.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, guys, let's remove the kid and the old lady. What do you think? Yeah,
right.
Kubrick, we get it, dude. We get it.
Tell Jack to not smile so much. It's freaking me out. It's a little less kind of some other emotion besides.
Yeah. Could you get angry but not like smile while you're doing it? That'd be great.
Yeah, because it's really messing with me. You're not supposed to be happy angry. It really seems unnatural.
It does. It did seem unnatural. But it was perfect. I mean, really, he was. I still don't quite know. Just to switch gears, of course, that's what I do. I don't really know what the story is about. Other is he a ghost? Is he what?
I was going to say something.
What I mean? Like, I don't
earlier
know.
on, like 2 minutes ago, you said you weren't confused about the plot. But
I have
a lot of
follow
questions.
The story, but like I don't know what the overarching idea is.
Right, but you can go along with it. be going along with the story. You're not
It's just
sitting
because
there,
the entire
"Hey."
story is Jack is scary and he's getting scarier, and that's about
And
it.
you hope that, and you wonder
Yeah.
who's going to live and who's going to die. Kind of all the typical horror movie things. So
No, it's like when you get to the end, you're kind of like, oh, so he's a ghost? If he's not a ghost, oh, you're just supposed to just accept all this shit. It doesn't really matter, I guess, right? Because it's just about the scariness of it, right? Like the kid talks to his finger. Like you just got to accept that, dude, right? And like, or there's another person that's also able to speak in their mind. Like these are things that are just supernatural. You don't have to, there's twins.
Ghosts
that
are
show up.
real, and they can touch physical things because they can take you out of a locked room. That's possible.
Yeah, because when you're playing with trains and cars and shit, like all of a sudden a ball's gonna roll up on you, and there's not gonna be anybody there. So, I mean, this is just one of those movies that really, if you like scary movies, this is probably one of the best, I would think. I mean, I don't know. At least for me, I don't really like all the gore, and this is so much of like a mental. There's gore in it, but it's not the focal point of the entire film.
Yeah.
Right. Like where if you're watching Saw or something, it's just like people bleeding left and right. So
come on,
I mean,
this movie has a elevator full of blood overflowing the camera.
but it's peppered in correctly. You know what I mean? Like,
but I mean that's like borderline Evil Dead 2 levels of blood is in this movie.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've got information on that shot.
Oh, I got so much information on this movie.
Yeah, I can't.
bet.
One thing I really couldn't stand is the way that woman runs with the stupid knife up and down the stairs. Yeah, I was really annoyed, but I'm like, why are you running like that? Like flailing around like a fucking idiot,
She's not an athlete, man. That's like the whole point of her character.
The best part is when Jack makes fun of her and he's like, and he does the whole face. I was laughing.
You think
there
maybe we should get a doctor?
Yeah, doctor. Yeah, maybe we should get a doctor. I was dying laughing at that part. There was a couple times where he was like supposed to be scary that it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
And, I do think that I would probably watch this one again. It is definitely worth having a sound system. I think you must all agree with that.
100%.
If you're watching this on a laptop or a tablet, you're an idiot. So you should definitely be watching this in like a theater type setting. You need all that, like just all that piercing noise and those, and really the score was something else. It complemented it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in some of those scenes outside where it was like, it really kept the energy up and they're running through that maze and you just feel like, ugh.
I love the music cues whenever it like shows something shocking and it sounds just like someone rattling, like and it's just like a bunch of cans shaking in the background and it zooms into like Danny's face, just like fuck.
I know.
All that stuff is awesome.
It is. And it's so orchestral. Right, like it's like they're
you can't even tell. I can't tell what instruments they are. They sound
they're like percussion instruments that they're using as just like you said. There's just so much good. I mean, there was a couple times too. Some music cues where like Nixon like hits the table and it's like doom, and it like echoes further, right? And it just seems to echo perfectly for what like as if it was in the room, because they're in these large rooms and then they have these reverbs on these music cues that are like matching the room that they're in on screen. And so it's just like, it makes you feel like it's all part of the space. Yeah. And it's really like, it doesn't have any separation that you would usually have.
There's some scenes like where Nicholson is like walking towards us about to go into the ballroom and he kind of like, he's pissed at Wendy or something. And he like pushes his elbows down in frustration and like a bunch of strings just go like shink, like at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And the rest of like the score wasn't made for this movie. Like he overlapped weird avant-garde classical music, but he just edited it to like line up those types of cues with the movie. So it does that the entire time where just like certain things line up to make it feel like the most cohesive, like one of the most cohesive soundtracks.
Ever. I mean, it was something. Yeah, it was just really good. I mean, this movie was really good. I was sitting there yesterday watching it, just being like, this is what a movie's supposed to be like, right? I mean, it just is. The framing, the colors, when they choose to use colors, when they choose not to, when the colors are weird on purpose, there's just so many good little nuggets in here. One thing I would ask though is why the hell did they reuse the same wallpaper where those two girls were killed? Because they're like flashes, right? And you're like, are you like, what? They're like, it like fucking flashes to blood. I'm like, why would the company not just like say, okay, we're going to wipe this whole place clean, start all over, all new wallpaper,
right.
all new everything. Like they fucking use, like I was literally, that's what I thought, of course, when I saw that little shot. I'm like, why would they re-wallpaper it the same? That's all that was on my mind.
Because Kubrick's probably like, the people aren't going to notice and the shot will look better if we switch between the two and the wallpaper's the same.
Yeah, well, of course.
It adds more terror to the room that it's clear this is exactly where it happened if the room looks exactly the same. Probably
There's so many reasons why. I'm just saying, like in reality, I was like, they should have redid the wallpaper.
Right. The practical reason being that you're going to like shoot the scenes while the room is clean before you mess it up with all that blood.
No, it's because when they were buying the wallpaper back 60 years ago, they overbought, so they had a bunch of stock in the basement, and they're just like, hey, we got this extra wallpaper.
No, well, you know what? We actually already have the wallpaper still. Yeah, right.
That happens too. Yeah.
So that was.
And if people die in a corridor and you change the wallpaper, it'll just remind the people that someone died. If it's the exact same as it was before, you might forget about it.
Right. Well, in the corridor,
real reasons.
I just meant more the room.
Real reasons. Real reasons. All right. Well, now it all checks out. It's all in a little bow. Some might say chopped up into little squares, but that's just some would say.
Something Grady would say.
Great. It's a yeah. I love that scene in the bar.
Which one?
Where he just
Which one?
The first, actually both. The first one where it's empty and he's just like, nah, there's just such good like back and forth, and that's where we first start to see that he's like, because they're like, oh, your money's no good here, right? You're like, why? Right? And then it makes sense because he's a ghost.
It's also weird how he knows Lloyd. Like he's familiar with this guy.
Like he's familiar with him. Right. Yeah. But at the same time, like bartender, like throw out any name, and the barkeep would probably be like, yep, sure. Yeah, I'm Floyd tonight. What do you need?
Right. Sure.
Lloyd is the bartender, and Jeevesy is just a random.
Jeevesy.
Yeah. They're all Jeevesy.
No, he's the guy that killed the family, right?
Well, that's one of the most confusing parts of the movie, I think, because they talk about how Grady killed his family, but then you meet Grady, and he didn't end up killing his family. Jack did.
Jack did, right.
So is Jack Grady? Or like, what the hell is going on
from
there?
before? Yeah, right.
We can get into that. Let's save that. I have some like logical questions that I'm pretty sure are unanswerable because I've seen this movie a lot. And it's just like, it doesn't necessarily even matter because it's all just partially inside like a crazy person's head. So
right. I didn't remember, funny enough, that's how long I saw this. I didn't remember the part of the without play, Jack's a dull boy. I didn't remember that part. And then when she got there, I was like, oh, right. Damn. Like, I didn't remember it coming up, and then it came up, and I was like, oh, that's what he was writing? Oh, shit, that's right. Oh, fuck. He's
been crazy for so long.
He's been crazy for so long. He wrote like 500 pages of that shit. I love how she's flipping through, and there's like different like patterns and stuff, too. It was awesome. And someone had to go through and type all those things.
Oh, yeah. Right? It was Kubrick's secretary. She worked on it for months. She produced approximately 12 pages a day in between other tasks every single day.
Oh my God, that's amazing. So anyways, I mean, I don't really have anything else other than that because, I'll let you guys go so that we don't keep going into trivia by accident. But I mean, it was an amazing movie. It was a great watch. And I'll watch it again and everybody else should too.
Nice. What do you think, John?
Oh, TC covered a lot. And also, I should let you know, maybe, I didn't hit record, so I missed like our first 10 minutes because we didn't do our record check that we do just for John.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can never get pissed at me for asking you ever again, okay, John?
I know.
I'm recording.
Well, no, it's because you do it. Now it's a crutch for me, see? Maybe now you need to just not do it.
Enabling bad behavior.
This happened before. Before I did it every time.
I know. I am bad. Sorry. Anyway.
You're not a tech guy.
No, I think TC covered a lot, actually. I think the hero of the film for me is, and the big star is the steady cam. So all of those steady tracking shots are really phenomenal. It's really what I think of when I think of The Shining is that opening sequence through the mountains with the scary music playing and the windy roads and the way they sort of lay all that out with this sort of unnatural smoothness. That
wasn't a
forward.
steady cam, John.
I know, but that.
Oh, you do?
Well, no, I did not know.
But
But I sure sounded like I did.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm not
you
surprised.
are right.
I thought about that. It might not have been the steady cam, but it's still throughout the film though is this sort of smoothness of shooting. It's of these tracking shots that happen a lot. There's like the opening sequence. There's how he's followed through the when Danny's being followed by his big wheel. Oh, like we have a visitor. Hello. Say
Hello,
hi to the
visitor.
guys.
Hi, guys.
Oh, hello.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Go, go,
Say
go.
hi, TC. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Daddy. Hi, Dad. Sissy.
Hello.
Hey, what's
What
on your
did you
T-shirt there?
Danny wants to know what's on your T-shirt. What's on your T-shirt?
Papa Drop.
Oh, Paw
That's
Patrol.
funny. That's like my nephew. He loves
Paw
Paw
Patrol.
Patrol.
Sing him the Paw Patrol song.
Yeah, Papa Drop. Me on the devil. The rapid song. Pop on the ceiling. Pop on the ceiling. Pop out at seven.
Yeah.
They're clapping for you.
Yeah, I
Good
think
job,
Sean
buddy.
has something to sample
Oh,
now.
that's just what. And that's what.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's what.
Hey, we just watched a scary movie. Do you like scary movies?
Yeah, I like Paw Patrol. No Paw Patrol. No Paw Patrol.
I know you like Paw Patrol a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, we watched a scary movie that had monsters in it.
Yeah.
Do you like monsters?
No.
No. Okay. I didn't think you would. You might not have liked this movie.
Yeah, I do. I don't. I do. I know.
Being a kid is awesome, isn't it?
You're cracking TC and Daddy up. They love you.
This is what. Truffle trucks.
Any other movies that they should watch? Do you have a favorite movie?
Yeah.
What?
No Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol, huh?
Yeah.
There's a Paw Patrol. The Paw Patrol movie's coming out this fall.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And try anyone not robots. And I don't have nanobots at I don't know. Bam. Bam, 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 bam.
Oh, what a great mind.
My foot.
Yeah. Oh, there's Mommy.
What's that?
Mommy's gonna tell you. Say goodbye, TC. Goodbye, Danny.
Bye.
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 He's got a future in radio.
Oh,
Yeah, he was talking in the microphone.
I'm crying from that,
Yeah.
dude. That made me
Yeah,
laugh
that's funny.
really hard.
Oh. Anyway, that's Alex.
Oh, that was funny.
All right.
What were we talking about?
What were
Let's talk-
we talking about? Death and murder.
Maybe just have the kid on. He's not always in that good of a mood, though.
Kid's
so that's
funnier
good.
than you, TC. What are you going to say about that?
That kid's great. His mind is awesome.
Yeah, he's a natural.
Yeah.
Paw Patrol, Paw Patrol.
Let's see. No, we were talking about the Steadicam or the tracking shot. So maybe so. To your point, though, not all of that Steadicam, those opening scenes, but that's what I do.
The rest of it
often.
is basically a lot of Steadicam and then
So it's
moving
actually
on
yeah,
tracks.
Yeah, I have a lot of trivia
Yeah.
on that, but at least for the helicopter, they had to straighten the blades of the helicopter to keep the helicopter so it didn't vibrate. It's like some very high quality tuning you can do to helicopters, and it usually deteriorates very quickly. So like you get a new helicopter and it's just really smooth, but then over time it starts to shake. And most people don't fix it because it's not that important, but like it's like, super aligning your car perfectly, like the wheels or whatever.
Ah,
So they did that,
interesting.
and then they strapped a camera on to the front of the helicopter and just had a very good. It was a second unit director, so it wasn't Kubrick up there because Kubrick is terrified of flying. But he like had the idea of where to go. And the Steadicam director actually was the guy that they were shooting in a lot of locations, and he was the one who pointed to these locations.
Yeah, because
Nice.
it is beautiful and it's scary. But I think that's what's really unusual is to take such beautiful scenery and make it scary. And I think that setup for the whole film is just really masterful. That they're like showing you these woods and the mountains and this really beautiful, gorgeous scenery. But like
It's the soundtrack.
the soundtrack
Yeah.
and the smoothness of the motion is really it just feels unnatural.
And the way it's framed, where it's like there's just a bunch of wilderness and the car is tiny and it's like super far away and all the roads are always yeah.
And
Yeah,
like the weird
it's-
blue text.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like-
it's all it's like just
all on
an
purpose.
incredible opening sequence.
We're gonna go
But
with
then all
turquoise.
the tracking shots, and I always again just following Danny on the big wheel is also wonderful. The way it's done and how the sound is like ebbing and flowing as he goes on carpet versus wood. And
I was like, is that how they came up with Bobby's World?
yeah.
I bet. Probably, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm
Maybe
like,
so,
look
right?
at this. This is Bobby's World.
This is Bobby's World.
Yeah, where's that dude with the
Without
curly
the
hair?
murder.
Yeah.
But amazing, again, also really well done. Just very, very engaging to watch it, even though I've seen it a lot. And then there's a lot of the more, I don't know if it's traditional, if it was done a lot back then too, but this is more like a Scorsese type of sideways tracking shot as you follow people through big rooms. But even so, it's just still done really well. Yeah, that was my favorite thing watching it this time. I think it's maybe it is a bad idea to read the book right before the movie. I reread The Shining, and the book is so different, and it has it's not a straight up horror book.
The book?
It's the book is a lot more about the minds. It's more about like
You're
alcoholism
crazy.
and guilt.
Shining
and
book is the scariest freaking book I've ever read.
Oh, well, let's argue about it. But
Okay.
I feel like if I think of the bulk of what the time is spent on these characters in the book, it's about their thoughts about guilt and remorse and alcoholism, and there's a lot more.
They're real
depth
characters
to
that makes
these-
the rest of it so scary, John.
Yeah, that is. It's true. And then when you see Jack in the film, and it really works in the film, but he's kind of one note, more or less that same note: sly, sinister, angry. He's always kind of there. That's always where he's coming from. So you don't see things like in the book. There's a whole lot of warmth between he and his son, and that like the wife's almost like has a rough time with it because even if he loses his temper with his son, they're really close, and he's really good with him. And you see none of that in the film. You see no friendliness from Jack whatsoever. It's always, at the best, he's just being sly. That's like the best you get out of Jack, the way he plays this character. It just felt weird. I was like sort of annoyed. I was like thinking like this is, and the mom, Shelley's character, is just scared and nervous. And that's like, it's like that she stays with that. And that might really work for the film, that you sort of have these like, you basically have them sit at this one place and they just get worse. Like Jack is evil and sly, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. She's nervous and scared. That just gets worse and worse and worse throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
To where it's just like becomes really tense. It becomes like you see it. It's not like a surprise. It's like, oh, he's evil. Whoa, who knew? You see that right from the beginning. The way he's like looking at people. He's like, this isn't a surprise in terms of like the direction. So it was kind of weird. I think for a while I was like annoyed, and then I was like, no, this is just different. This is more just. It's not about that kind of nuance. This is, at least for these characters, it's really more like it's more like straight directions, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different thing. And then of course there is the I'm insane Kubrick shot where people go insane. The camera is below their faces. You see their lower teeth.
Yeah.
And you'd focus on the eyeballs. I don't know.
I saw some behind the scenes footage doing research for this podcast where he was doing that shot. He was trying out different things, and they showed the footage of Kubrick laying down with this little like director periscope eye thing and laying down flat there and pointing it up. And he's like, let's try here. And I'm like, Kubrick, you've done this before. Don't act like you haven't done this before.
What about this? Everybody's like, oh, right, Stanley.
yeah.
What about that?
Never seen
What a
that
good
before.
idea, Stanley.
Yeah.
Oh, so original.
Wow, so original. It's really, you're authentic as it gets, man.
I wonder if
Anyway,
like halfway through every movie is like, when do I pull out this one camera angle? I got to save it
That's
for
right.
a good time.
I got to wait. Oh, are they insane? All right, now they're insane. Here I go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Onto the floor, Kubrick. Here we are.
Anyway, but it's pretty amazing. We can talk about the differences in the book in more detail too, because there's sort of like a lot of fun and interesting things the way the book differs. And then I read another book called Stanley Kubrick and Me, which was written by his driver personal assistant. Yeah, it's a twofer this time.
Wow.
Which is really interesting to see what Stanley Kubrick's like from a perspective of somebody who is his helper. As opposed to say like an actor who worked with him or something like that, where there's certainly a lot of stories there. So we can get into that when we get into Book Corner. As far as other things go, TC touched on it really well. The audio is amazing, and not just the audio, but all of not just the sound, but the mixing and the sound effects. So it all just works insanely well. Yeah, I think. It's impressive stuff, and it's easily rewatchable, and like you do get pulled along with it really, really easily. And with Jack's performance, you could think he's hamming it up, but it works so well. He's just over the top, even at the beginning. And then he gets even more over the top. I mean, it's like at the beginning, he looks like he's just chewing up the scenery and just being a ham. But it really works, I think, which is really,
that's
really
something
interesting.
I always, if it's not realistic, even if it's over the top, like it can be over the top, but it has to be realistic for most movies.
Yeah.
This one isn't realistic at all. And for some reason, it's just, I don't know, it's how entertaining it comes off of and how rewatchable it is and how just fun it is almost to watch Jack, even if you're not like, I don't totally buy into the story or worry about the characters sort of thing like I do in normal horror movies. This one's just about like, look at the shot. It's freaking beautiful. Jack is acting like a completely crazy person. This soundtrack is freaking awesome. Like every second of this is just a combined number of like good things in some movies.
And it's so iconic that I don't even know if you can like see it, or it feels like it's just this stuff is like so. This is so singular, and or at least most people who like horror films have seen this multiple times. Usually, it's just all of this stuff is like really signature stuff. And
everybody likes it too. Naomi doesn't like horror movies, and she loves this movie.
So it's hard to describe. Then I don't
think it's so scary.
Inarticulate about this.
There's something there. I don't think it's scary, and I saw it when I was 13, and I didn't think it was scary then. And I don't think it's scary now.
Terrifying.
I think it's scary.
When I saw it when I was little, I was scared. Yeah, TC had lots of things he'd like to have not be there.
Yeah.
From what he said.
I thought it was scary. It depends on how far your imagination will go with it. That's what I think is scary.
I didn't feel scared this time just because this all feels so familiar. It's hard to be kind of scared of that. And add to that, I think maybe
I just find it weird.
Reality of the characters.
Like the way it uses sound to try to scare you. It's just such weird music. And I love it, but it's not like, it doesn't scare me. I'm just like, whoa, this is really, really weird. Like whatever's going on inside this hotel isn't scary. It's just really strange. And like none of these people know what's going on.
It feels like David Lynch came along and really took that kind of thing and really went with it to be
all right, because Twin Peaks is weird.
Yeah.
And not scary, really.
Right.
Just like creepy.
But also
this was scary. I don't know. I was
weird.
sweating.
And also then you get, go into the incomprehensible totally stuff where you can't even follow it along.
You can't even make sense of it. Yeah. Right.
But
you have to be on acid to figure it out.
TC, the scenes that were scary were Danny talking to his finger.
Although I like that.
Or just
that
like creeping through the house, or like, I don't know. There's just like, I have a hard time with like big open, like old homes. You know what I mean? Like there's like a shadow person around the corner, like a ghost. You know what I mean? Like I'd be creepy just while like you'd just be driving the fucking Tyco around the damn thing would have been creepy for me. As a kid, I would have been too scared to do that. So it might just be like personal. Like fears of
big
like,
space.
Old spaces, right?
All right.
Maybe it's because I grew up in like an old Victorian home, right? Back in Massachusetts too. And there was always like the creepy attic or the unfinished basement. And it was always like, and then you like get into that situation in this hotel and it's just all like, I would not be exploring that hotel. I'd be walking to the fucking apartment and to the kitchen and back. And that's it. Right? Like I'll leave the rest of the lights off. We don't need to go over there, So it could have just been some of that.
So if we really want to like torture you, we like blindfold you and dump you off and lock you into a huge like
like an old abandoned
building.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, that was a newer, nice building. That's a nice hotel
for the time. Yeah,
it is.
It was very. It just all. It was very spacious. There's lots of space there. So and nobody's there. Nobody's around is the other thing that makes it creepy. Even if it is nice, the emptiness of it is what is sort of spooky.
I'm sorry. Any fucking noise you hear, I'd be like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah,
the fuck was that?
I think that's what the book does. We can talk about the book too. The book does that a lot better. Like the parts of the book where they hear things from their apartment that this movie doesn't even try to do, because I don't know how you would do that.
How you would do that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff they cut out of the book that are the best parts of the book. Like the scariest parts in the book don't exist in the movie because I don't think you could film them.
Yeah, that's true.
They tried to film one of the scenes in the TV adaptation in the 90s. The hedge animal scene. They tried to film that.
That would be fun.
But it was terrible.
So in the books, there's, instead of a hedge maze, you have these hedge animals, and the hedge animals come to life.
It's like a bunny. There's a lion. They're huge.
And they do it in this. They do it in this way where, for quite a while before towards the end, you're like, you don't see them move. You just turn around, and when you turn back, they're like closer.
They're different. Different.
Well, it slowly picks up. First, they're just there.
Yeah.
Then they have the sense that like one of them shook a little snow off, or like they're covered in
Right,
snow. And one of
right.
them wasn't covered in snow, and they're like, "What?" And then they get the sense that like one of them is moved closer, and then there's like a full on spoilers for the book. I don't know. It like just grows in intensity as the book goes on.
We should say, yeah, we'll
Interesting.
probably spoil
I
the
never
book,
read the book,
which is,
so.
oh, the book is great.
Yeah,
It's
the book
really,
is so good.
It was kind of amazing. It's amazing how when Stephen King is good, how easy he is to read. It's just,
Even when he's bad, he's easy to read, John. I've read some
Yeah,
bad
that's
Stephen
fair.
King. He's usually pretty fast when it comes to turning pages.
Yeah,
His
I think
writing
that's
style is
true.
always like, small words, like short sentences. It's never too complicated.
But I guess that's fair. That's fair. I think I'm just impressed that he can have something so easy to read and good, like where it still feels meaningful and interesting, and not just like, not just easy. So yeah, that's a good point. He is even the bad stuff. Because I read some of his bad books. I actually liked like the Tommy Knockers. I read that one a couple of times a long time ago.
I've never read that
Anyway,
one.
that one was like, yeah. But
I'm halfway through
so-
Billy Summers, which is his newest one. Totally
Oh.
recommend it.
Oh yeah, cool. Maybe I'll check it out.
I don't read, so
Yeah. Sorry. That's why I was
even,
talking to John.
even for those,
Yeah.
even those for a non-reader, if you were to try reading, and Stephen King's a good place to start. So
Yes.
I don't know what to do.
I read
Yeah.
a decent amount, and my two favorite books are both Stephen King, and one of them is The Shining,
What's the other one?
The Stand.
Yes, okay.
Those two books are the two best books I've ever read.
I haven't read The Stand for a long time.
Oh,
I might
so
need
good.
to try it again.
What else you got on this
But
one, John?
Anyway. So as far as the movie goes, I think that sort of covers everything. Again, we can talk about the book. I mean, they really had to do a lot of rewrites because so much of the book is in the characters' minds, including like Tony. Tony is just internal to the kid in his own head.
He doesn't talk to his finger. He wouldn't be scary
he
to
doesn't.
TC.
He's not a robot that lives in his mouth or anything like that. It's just more, you can, in the book, you get to, again, spend all kinds of time in their heads, and it's no big deal. But so again, they had to try to figure out, well, how do we make this a character so that, and that was sort of interesting that they decided to do it, and creepy.
It's because they screen tested over 1,000 kids over like 5 different cities in the United States, and this kid came to the audition. His name is actually Danny. Danny Lloyd is his real name. He came to the audition and did this. He did the low voice with the finger thing, and he's like, "Fuck, all right, we're casting this kid because he can do that, and we're just gonna write that into the movie."
What he did that just for,
because it wasn't a part of the script.
He just made it up.
He made it up.
Did he say there's a little man in his mouth and all that? Like this is all his part?
No, he just
I don't
had
know.
the low voice and the finger thing was what they said he brought.
What prompted him to do that?
Hey, maybe, I don't know. Be scary.
Say,
I don't
do
know.
something weird,
Yeah.
kid.
If I was
All
in that
right.
casting room, I'd be like, you know what? I think we can do without this kid. I don't think we need this kid. I don't think it's on the script. I don't think we need him.
I don't think he's a little young to be improvising like this. I get enough of that shit.
Right, yeah, right.
I don't want to sit there and argue with the 6-year-old.
Look, I think this kid's got to go. I don't know about you.
That's right.
Yeah, watching Kubrick direct Danny was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're all done, John?
I am all done.
Yeah, this movie.
All done.
This movie is weird. I just try to compare it to other movies as always. This movie is so good. I've watched it so many times. This is the one movie that over the past year and a half, I knew this movie was coming up, but I didn't stop myself from watching it during the pandemic because I was like, fuck it. I'm going to want to watch it again within a year. Like I already knew that because I already have done that before. Like I'd watch this again in a few weeks sort of thing. I'm not sure I'll ever get sick of it.
Yeah.
But compared to something like Blade Runner, there's a lot of flaws in that movie. I think this movie has a ton of flaws, but I don't think any of them matter because of the production design and how fun it is to watch like every second of the way through. Like the character
You're
stuff.
saying Blade Runners has flaws that make it bad?
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
Blade Runner has obvious flaws that you can point out, but the flaws don't matter.
Oh, you're
because
saying
visually,
similar
Blade
to
Runner.
similar
Yes.
to Blade Runner. I thought you were saying unlike Blade Runner somehow.
No,
I was
no,
going to get
like
to
Blade
those
Runner.
fighting words.
No.
All right, go on, carry on.
Because the
Jeez.
visuals and every second of the movie are amazing and stuff you haven't seen before and we'll never see again. The sound and the soundtrack is amazing and drives the movie
way they create
emotions.
the way they create the environment and the place.
Yeah.
And that's what Blade Runner also does incredibly well. So I applaud your analogy there.
Yeah, and also like
comparison,
the
Denny. Well done.
acting, the acting in this movie is sometimes wooden, just like it is in Blade Runner. The character interactions is somewhat stilted, and you can kind of tell that they're being directed, just like Blade Runner. I don't care about the plot in this one, just like Blade Runner. Like there's a lot of stuff, but like every second of either movie, I'm stuck to the screen because I think it's just because the sound, the way it looks, and how cool it is, kind of. Like, I just have a feeling
you got like a good essay there about how The Shining is like Blade Runner. I like that.
But, you know, like, I don't even know how to describe the last part. It's like, it's not necessarily the acting, even though watching Jack and watching all of them, I mean, they're all pretty good, kind of.
Yeah, but it doesn't, it doesn't
She's
feel
not
like,
great.
I like the way
like
she does some of it, though. Like, her face looking terrified. I agree.
I just don't like her face. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's why she got nominated for the Razzie this year. She got like shunned out of Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Due to yeah, like there's a lot of bad things, and even the people working on the movie in the commentary were like, I don't know why Kubrick didn't, hire someone that was like classically beautiful. They're like, oh, come on, man.
Oh,
Come
that's
on.
annoying.
She's hard to look at, I have to say. I'm gonna throw that out there.
I like her
And
in this
like
movie.
when she's going into those like crying jaunts and shit, it's just like, come on.
I like it because, and I didn't like it before because I think an immediate watch, it just seems
Over the
like
top.
she's too over the top. But I think like she's now, and I might have just like excused it away. She seems almost like she's about to pass out from fear a lot of the time. So like, just like the looseness in her movements and the like her inability to like control her face and the way her eyes just like, her eyes look scary sometimes in this movie. Like she's actually gonna fucking faint or like have a heart attack or something. And I appreciate that. And even though like some of the dialogue between like the calmer scenes between her and Danny are like they kind of drive the plot a little bit, but like during those scenes, you have like beautiful scenery or really cool colors or other shit going on.
You can ignore her.
You can ignore it.
Right.
Well, but I think it's fair, not just her, but it
happens with Jack. Like the worst part of the movie
True.
is like after that amazing intro, and then it goes to some front projection shots of them in the car of like some of the most stilted dialogue in the movie between Jack and Danny. Like that scene isn't
and
great.
all you really get
it's great though. It's cannibalism. What a fucking
annoying.
conversation to have with a kid.
Yeah.
Right? I was sitting there like, who would talk to the kid about cannibalism?
But it has the
Fucking lose his
soundtrack
mind.
behind it. It has the soundtrack that was in the beginning that carries you through that scene. And I love the soundtrack. So that's what I focus on during that part. Like there's not 1 second of this movie that doesn't have something that's like the best individual aspect of a movie compared to any other movie ever. And sometimes it has like all the things going at once.
Right.
And those parts are even more amazing. Like this movie is insanely good. I wish they like made prints of it. I think some of the shots in this movie are fucking amazing. One of my favorite ones is the one where Danny is like watching TV when it's snowing outside and it does the slow zoom out and it just like pans really far back and you can just see this whole, I think it's just one of the days, right? It's like Tuesday and it shows it's like snowing outside and
he's like playing with his trains or something like that, or his cars.
And it's got like the blue and white light outside with the snow and then like the warm orange and red and brown and shit in the inside. And everything is like shiny and all the lights are reflecting off the ground because, Kubrick had everybody just polishing the shit out of the grounds. He's like, they have to reflect. There's a shoe print right there. Do it again. Do it again.
Right.
I don't care if it takes all week. This one shot is going to be good. Yeah. And this movie kind of, I don't know. Like if you think about it, it could have been a lot better in a lot of different ways. This movie is so stamped with Kubrick. It's kind of like just like you can feel the camera, like you can feel Kubrick behind it. You can feel the Steadicam, like you were saying, John. Like it's really almost a separate character. It is a little unsettling, the camera shot where you go inside like Jack's perspective because you don't know you're there until like you see his hand opening the door and you realize that like you're inside of his head, sort of thing. Like that type of stuff is pretty cool. And what other parts of movies are there? Like what else makes a movie? Like the sound, the soundtrack, the design,
like say what
moments.
oftentimes, but you could say, and it is sort of the lesser parts of the films are the characters and their interactions within the character, like how Jack plays his role. There's something really iconic and it's almost absurd, but it seems to work. But the craftsmanship in this film, I really like how you put it. Like all these other aspects fit together so well that it's okay. You've got 2 or 3 amazing things going on at once, no matter what. And sometimes it works with the characters and sometimes it doesn't, but that doesn't, it's still, the other stuff is so good that it's okay. I think it's really interesting the way you put it.
And it makes me wonder too, like we're watching these on amazing sound systems. I have a 4K TV. I have the 4K Blu-ray of this movie where it's been, UHD mastered and shit. It looks fucking beautiful. And when, back in the early 80s, who knew? Like, who knows what these people were watching it on? They might have seen it in like a theater where it didn't get totally dark, so the darks were gray. The contrast
right.
and the colors weren't good. The sound wasn't loud. The bass sucked.
To-
The
to,
high end was all mixed together with the mid.
2001 A Space Odyssey, same thing, right?
Same exact
we
thing.
see those.
Yes. Part of Stanley Kubrick's movies is the pristine production. Like that is totally ingrained in it. And if you remove that, it wouldn't be nearly as good. And as superficial as that sounds.
And if you remove it, they might have gotten more naturalness from their actors or other things because the actors weren't sitting there doing take after take after take and still trying to be there. And there may be other things because of the way Stanley makes his films, which can drive people nuts. It's how he gets that kind of pristineness and how he gets the things exactly the way he wanted. But it might also explain why his actors have a tough time or why there's a bit of woodenness there or it doesn't feel too natural in terms of their interactions.
And to be fair on this one, I think a lot of his other movies we've watched, he focused more on the framing and the colors and the cleanliness of the sets and the, just like making sure there were no little mistakes off on the side of the shot or something like just small things you really shouldn't care about. This one, he really did work with the actors a lot. It seemed anyway from the behind the scenes, like a lot of the, he would average 40 takes per shot in this movie.
Jesus.
40 takes.
40?
This movie holds the record for most takes for a single shot in a movie.
That seems like way too many.
So the scene where they have it's on Scatman Crothers' face, Dick Halloran, the character, and he's talking to Danny about The Shining, and it's a super close up, and he's kind of looking to the left where Danny's sitting. That shot was 7 minutes. It's a 7-minute take, and they did it 148 times.
My God!
Can you imagine?
What?
I quit. And reading the books too, like
you know what I mean? I wouldn't even be there. I'd be like, I don't need this. This is terrible.
Like Emilio, his assistant, reading that book about him, was saying that Stanley also he didn't explain, and it would make sense because you don't have. I mean, if he took time to explain each time, it would just bother. It would just make everything take forever. But he would just be like, "Yeah, that was good. Okay, let's do it again." And he would really, and people would get kind of frustrated with that because they
was it good? Was it bad? Was it
understand? Right.
Any feedback? You got anything over there, bud? Yeah. Oh wow.
That's what people said on this one too, because, and I'm sure that did happen, but in the behind the scenes footage, his daughter actually filmed the behind the scenes little tiny documentary thing during the filming of this movie. She was 17 at the time. But there is footage of Kubrick telling even Jack, who gets a pass, like people say like, oh, he loved Jack all the time. There's footage of him telling Jack he didn't do it right and how to do it differently, which you apparently would do all the time. He would start, from the first take, you would have him do it like calmly or something smaller, and then he would amp up what he wanted from Jack over the course of 40 takes. And he would end up, for the cut, most people said he ended up using one of the later takes, especially towards the end of the movie. And they also filmed this movie.
He's actually getting frustrated.
Yeah.
He's finally getting actually frustrated. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Plus, they also filmed this movie in sequence for the most part. So, all that, the bags under Shelley Duvall's eyes were like real and intentional. Right. People think. Kubrick never admitted to it, but he seemed to, even though he gave Jack some harsh direction sometimes or just regular direction depending on the director, he seemed to not be as nice. Like everyone kind of overblows it. He wasn't like physically abusing her or anything, but there were times where he put the blame on her where it was obviously not her fault, sort of thing.
Oh.
But there were other times
to get her upset.
But there were other times where she was kind of being a drama queen, where she, if you read online, like she was pulling clumps of hair out like within 6 months, like into the shoot. This movie shot for over a year. She was pulling clumps of hair out. There was a shot in the behind the scenes where she was complaining about it, and Kubrick went over and grabbed the hair she was talking about, and he had like 2 pieces of hair, and he looked at the camera and he was like, clumps of hair. And I was like, oh, is she just like a drama queen here? Like, I'm sure she actually had something mentally going on to even just feel the need to act out in that way, just because nobody was helping her out, and she felt like she was being attacked on a daily basis, which that's fair enough,
Right.
Yeah.
And she like, again, there's just a little bit in the book of the Stanley Me where Emilio describes from his perspective that she was extremely nervous, uncertain, anxious, and didn't feel like anybody on set. I mean, she didn't have her own confidence, and that made it pretty hard for her to function in this kind of environment. Whereas someone like Jack has,
he eats this shit up. He eats this shit up. Yeah, right.
He was very professional.
He lives for this.
Right. Well, he was also like always professional too, and knew what to do, and didn't get in anybody's way on set. He even said that he thought Jack sort of annoyed him, not sort of, but he was pretty annoying to drive around because Jack wanted to just look at women all the time and make him slow down, and just he was like lecherous in general.
Oh man.
But yeah, well, but that, you know, sort
Looking
of
like
again, in
that, you think
contrast,
Jack
she
could pick
just-
up a woman who didn't
Oh,
know who he was
100% is confidence
with
alone.
that smile
with
and
his
confidence,
eyebrows, his
yeah, I
pointy
mean,
ass
yeah.
eyebrows.
It was
Oh
like- I
yeah,
don't know.
he'll tell you. And he's
Yeah.
taller than they are, so they don't notice his bald head.
Is he? How tall is he? He's not that tall.
It's
probably like
got to be close to
5'8"?
6 feet, right?
I'm guessing 5'10".
Yeah.
Any other
But,
guesses?
but anyway, it
He's
was
good.
I
5'10",
don't know.
6 feet.
5'10".
5'10". All right, yeah, he's tall enough.
I just assumed he was short.
Yeah.
No,
I thought-
that's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Get the apple box out.
The Tom platform shoes.
Can you imagine Tom
Yeah.
Cruise trying to play this role?
Oh wow.
I could. That might be great. Dude, this,
Yeah.
seriously, there might be a
Yeah.
lot of good actors that could have like done
Yeah.
something different, but also have had a lot of fun, just like going
Yeah.
completely nuts. Like
Yeah.
that.
So
maybe.
Jack's listed as 5'10".
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, we knew that. We
Jack's
got that
not
already.
5'10".
Jackie boy.
Jack's not 5'10". We're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, we're talking about Jake. You just said he was 5'10".
Sorry, I was.
John
Yeah,
confirmed it.
yeah, sorry.
I thought we were
Tom
talking
Cruise
about
is
Tom
like
Cruise.
I thought you just made
5'4".
that up. I didn't know you
Tom
like
Cruise
looked
is like
that up.
5'4".
He's 5'7".
Okay.
Oh, is Tom Cruise 5'7"?
Yeah,
Oh, that's not too short. Oh, that's
No.
kind of
Yeah.
short.
that's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
short.
Yeah.
Shorter than Cameron Diaz. He had to step on boxes during Vanilla Sky.
Right, the apple box. Yeah.
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 Because you
Anyway.
can't be shorter than women in a movie. You just can't. It's Hollywood rules.
No,
Yeah.
right. Of course.
Yeah, speaking of Scatman Crothers, he was awesome as Dick
Oh,
Halloran.
yeah.
I actually kind of liked his scenes when he talked, and Danny was pretty good during those scenes too, just the explanation of The Shining. I believed him. Like for
Yeah.
once in the movie, like I actually kind of believed his history, and I thought it was nice and warm that him and his grandmother had like a way to converse with each other. I thought it was
Yep.
interesting how I guess it's not interesting. I don't know. They do so much differently with the movie than the book. And it just seems like a missed opportunity. Like you said, John, if you read the book and then immediately watched this, you'd be like, they left out so much good stuff.
Mhm.
But at the same time, this movie is over 2 hours long. So
Right,
like,
right.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could say that, I mean, the book and this Stephen King doesn't really do this anyway, but the scenery, the cinematography, all these things that the movie does so beautifully, it's not like there's gorgeous descriptions of things in King's book. So just to try to criticize the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But
And the
yeah.
end of the book
And there's
falls
so much
apart
of
a little bit. I
That's
thought.
what Stephen King always has trouble
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought,
Less-
I
less
don't know.
so than others.
Well, it'd be interesting to, I actually kind of like the book ending
You
though
liked it
better
when
than the
Dick
movie
was trying to
ending.
get to the hotel in the snowmobile?
Yeah, that was a little play. I don't know if we needed all of that.
Yeah, it was a
but,
bit
but
much.
I liked a little bit into Halloran's life and stuff like that. I thought that was cool, seeing how he was in Miami or Florida or wherever he was. I thought that was a lot, but I do like the general ending better. That
In the
again,
movie.
spoilers for the book. In the book, I like
Oh,
the
in the
ending of the
book.
book
Okay.
better. Yeah, because it made more sense to me. I still don't understand this whole he's in the photograph and he was always there. Stuff.
TC, are you
Yeah,
gonna read
right.
this
He's a
book?
ghost.
TC, are you going to read
I
this
mean,
book?
I don't read. It's
Yeah,
unlikely.
so we can
Highly
spoil it for
unlikely.
you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're just going to do overall spoilers
Go
for
ahead.
the movie and book. So I'm going to do
Yeah,
it at the
what the
beginning
hell?
of the part
Couldn't
2 of
kill
this
us.
too. So spoilers for the
Yeah.
book. If you haven't read it and you read it because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But you're about to be spoiled. So yeah,
Yes.
Whatever.
Right. So in the book, what happens is it's a common theme throughout the book that one of Jack's jobs is to take care of the boilers, and that you have to let pressure off of them, or
That's the
if they
biggest
build
part
up,
of his job, would you
they'll
say?
explode. Yeah. Yeah, and heating the rooms though, he's got to also not
But the
having
boiler,
the building
like the-
explode
right.
is like the biggest part of your job, right?
Right. Because I mean,
Um,
you would think as the watcher here, the viewer, that it was just there to like sit in the fucking hotel and
Right.
write. You know.
Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
he
You
had
don't see him doing
he had
anything.
like a gig in the book.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
was
He
like-
had to
No,
also
he
go and
talks
you're
about
supposed
it.
to
It's
like a
so
little
he
bit.
talks about it in the beginning, but you don't pay
Yeah.
attention to it
But you
because
don't
it's
really-
the longest
yeah,
scene
right.
of exposition of the movie,
No,
and you tune out.
right. And you only
Right,
see
right.
you see
Well, you
like
don't see
Shelley's
him doing it.
character checking the
That
boilers
too.
and stuff. You
Yeah.
don't even see him.
You just have
right?
the one guy you only meet once that is the hotel owner describe to him what the job
Right.
will be, and you're not
Right.
paying attention because
But
you're,
you're
like,
not paying
I don't care.
attention, and you don't
Yeah.
see him do it, so you don't think about it.
Right.
But in the book,
Yeah.
they talk about it. Okay, so he's doing the boilers.
But in the end, he's like chasing Danny down. He wounds Halloran. He's chasing Danny down, but he forgets about the boilers, and the boilers are about to explode. And he has to run back in to try to stop them from exploding. And then the whole place blows up. And that would have been great to see in the movie. Like that's how he dies. He doesn't die like lost in a hedge maze.
I kind of like he died in the hedge maze. I mean, because that picture is something else when it just cuts to him.
It is
staring up in his forehead.
And also just
I love it.
It's weird. It's almost sad. I mean, he's like crazy and everything, but it's sad to see him lost and freezing. I don't know. It just
you felt bad for him in the movie. I didn't care for him at all in the movie.
No, I don't know.
In the book, he was a good guy before he went nuts.
Yeah, and that's what. Again, it would have been. I think it would have been really nice if there was some of that in the movie because it might have made you care for the characters more.
But then you're trading off Jack's crazy acting.
He totally failed. He failed at his job in the book.
Yeah, right.
He blew the fucking place up. That's like literally.
But to his credit, he did get possessed by demons and ghosts or whatever. So not totally his fault.
Yeah.
No. But I don't know. It's maybe I didn't feel bad for him. But just this idea of being lost in the maze and freezing in there is terrifying and sad. And
it is.
Just so it maybe didn't feel sadness for him. But
watching him slowly get colder.
Yeah, the way they did that was pretty convincing.
Believe it or not, it was hot on that set. That was a set.
And they were running through salt.
Wow.
Yeah. It was all the snow was salt. All the stuff falling from the sky was oil smoke is what they called it, which is not legal. You can't use that on the sets anymore. And all the lights were super hot, and that was a set.
Is it like
and the hedges,
carcinogenic or what?
I don't know why, but they said that like oil, maybe flammable. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe just to have like a container of it is dangerous in itself because the container would be flammable. I don't know, but so that's what that is. And then all the hedge mazes were just fake hedge maze like carpeting attached to plywood boards.
All of the scenes,
it looked fucking like they were in a hedge maze.
No, all of the sets were fake, but they looked amazingly real. All of the sets were fake. Like almost all of the interior shots.
The interiors of the hotels, those giant open spaces were sets.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think so. I would have thought they'd used a real place.
It looked like the most expensive set ever.
Yeah,
because it was like all so shiny and fancy. It looked
so really. All they used on that hotel was just the exteriors to show the exterior.
Yeah.
And then they built these sets.
And then your mind,
they would build like
that's awesome.
They'd build like the wiring, the electricity in them to power like the lights within the sets, plus the lighting rigs, so they'd have these dual electrical systems in all of the sets.
Right. So big soundstage, interiors that were huge because they're on a soundstage.
Yep.
Because they had all these sets built, they had them built for the duration of the shoot, and they were able to do lighting tests over the course of production. So like say for the ballroom, they would have a bunch of dimmer lights that were all on different dimmers, and they'd go in there and film every day a bunch of different settings and record it, and then look at the dailies the next day and record what settings they were versus how it looked. And that's part of the process of how they got like those super long shots of the ballroom with everybody just visible and looking great.
Damn.
Yeah, those ballroom shots.
They really
were great,
put in some serious.
They did.
Effort on this.
There were things. Yeah. Oh, we're about to. I don't know. I'm almost at the hour mark. I got a lot of trivia on this one, guys.
Okay.
What else we got on the movie itself? I'm gonna just quickly go through.
Yeah, it's more on the movie itself. We can spend some time strictly on the book a little bit more, and then I've got some notes from the second book I read, and then we got trivia too. So.
I wanted to think what you guys thought of the scene where Shelley was running up the stairs and she sees a door open and then there's a furry and a
like
teddy bear outfit
furry
giving
guy with
head
his ass
to a
out
dude.
in the fucking what is going on there?
What is that?
What was that?
That was there's a little more context in the book.
In the book, it's just supposed to be runoff from the parties because that's the only thing about the parties besides the ballroom. You don't see them anywhere else in the hotel.
But no, and it makes no sense in that unless you'd read the book, it seems completely bizarre. And even then, it's
bizarre.
like it's
the bizarreness and the music with the fast zoom in is one of the scariest parts of the movie because you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Oh yeah, right. And then the guy with his head chopped in the middle.
Yeah, young David Lynch got up out of his seat in the movie theater and went, "Yeah, this is what I want.
This is what I'm doing."
I don't think Lynch was young in the 80s, was he?
Was he? Oh, maybe he was still making
Eraserhead was 70s. He was already making movies.
70s? That goes my whole David Lynch theory.
That was a funny joke,
speaking
though.
Of
anyway.
Lynch, Kubrick screened Eraserhead to the production team during this movie because that's the atmosphere he wanted. Was
God
Eraserhead.
damn it! I'm completely wrong. So
Kubrick took
it's funny though. It's funny though.
Yes.
It's
But
because
yeah,
you get
you saw the
Kubrick
comparison,
mixed up with
though.
Hitchcock.
I'm
you
really
know?
sorry, David. I apologize.
No, you saw the comparison. That's a good
never-
connection there, John.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Focus on the
help.
connection.
Yeah.
I saw the
Yeah.
connection, but
Not
it was the wrong direction.
Just the connection.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
I'm on the right freeway. I'm just driving the wrong
Yeah, on the
way.
wrong side.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a direction.
You found the road, but you're about to smash into a car, is all it is.
That's right. That's right.
all.
And all the while, like, hey, I found the right road. I'm doing pretty good
Yeah.
here.
I can read. Yeah.
What other? I have some other questions. So yeah, what about the Grady thing?
What about it?
What about the
The
scene in the
bartender?
bathroom where Jeevesy,
Well, first of
was it
all-
being
first
Grady,
of all-
tells him he's in fact the murderer, Jack Nicholson.
Yes,
Right,
but let's
yeah.
pause and just admire the red bathroom for a moment, which
Hell
is
of a
pretty
oh my
cool.
bathroom.
God, so
Yeah.
good looking.
Yeah. So
And that
I
whole
just,
scene,
also
I
the
love
set,
the dialogue there, and just like them. That's like one of the few scenes in the movie where the camera doesn't move, they don't move, they're just standing opposite of each other, just barely even moving their heads. Like the Grady guy doesn't even freaking move his head. He just looks
right. Isn't
sinister.
he just being like the studious butler sort of that he's supposed to be there, the waiter?
But the way he's like framed and the way he acts it, he's scary. Like that scene is really, really awesome. How he talks about how he corrected his children, like that whole thing. I'm just like, oh, that's so awesome. The way this guy's doing this is awesome.
Yeah. So even though he said like it's a little confusing because he said, well, you've always been the caretaker, but then he later in that same conversation
because I've always been here.
Because but then again, when I was the caretaker, I corrected my children. But anyway, he doesn't say he was the caretaker, but that was his role when he did that stuff. So anyway, but it was that scene is particularly spooky.
Yeah.
Do I agree?
Yeah, buddy. So yeah, TC had the question of like, is he a ghost? Is Jack a ghost? Why is he in the picture? What's going on there?
Yeah, like what's
Yeah,
going
none
on?
of that
Anyone
makes
know?
any sense to me. I'm
No?
sure there's lots of explanations, maybe.
Kubrick had one. You want to hear what Kubrick?
Oh, what? Yeah, what's his
what
explanation?
What does Stanley think?
That Jack Torrance was a reincarnation of this guy that lived in the past that killed his family.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that makes a
Well-
whole lot of sense, but that's what Kubrick said. So.
And like he came back because that was his
I mean,
his path
you have
or
to
whatever. or
incorporate
what?
a whole belief system there that
Yeah,
really
you
we
do.
didn't we didn't really the movie doesn't set up or anything, but whatever. Okay, so
maybe actually thinking about it, maybe Jack has a tiny bit of The Shining, which drew him to this job,
right, because that's his home,
Because it's his home,
right?
Because it's his home.
Yeah, that's
Right.
where
That's
his
what I meant,
ancestor haunts and lives, and he's being drawn in there
Yeah.
because of his unknown,
Through his kid. Unknown.
or even
shining.
just to him,
Yeah.
because even Scatman or Halloran
Well,
says
because
that
the
some
kid
people
knew
have it.
before. The kid knew before anybody else did.
Right.
They were
Yeah.
going to go, right? So something's up. Yeah. But the
the
connection would be obviously Jack because he's the father. But the kid's
Right.
got it. The father should have it.
right, so he's talking to his past his self talking to himself there, which is sort of interesting in that bathroom. Sort of, it's like if this reincarnation theory is there, which if Stanley wrote he helped write the screenplay, so. There you go. But that's kind of interesting, I guess, that he's talking to his former self who killed his wife and children about how he should kill his wife and kid. I mean, the book doesn't go there at all. I mean, the book is more about the hotel itself being a malevolent presence that's attempting mostly to get Danny's power. So because Danny has this shining ability, it would give the presence of the hotel even more power if Danny would die there. And so that seemed to be kind of the main motivation. That's a little weird too. Like, but this, I mean, the
You
book
think
doesn't
that's
make
weird?
it feel
You
too
should
weird.
read Doctor Sleep, John.
Oh yeah,
I guess way
Was
more
that-
into it's
was
the
that good?
episode
That
one.
seemed to get like mixed. It's like Danny's as an adult, right?
It's Danny with midichlorians or whatever. It's like episode 1 of Star Wars where it over explains the lore behind it. Where
Oh,
like the
okay.
way they mention it in The Shining is awesome.
Is
'cause it's
there
kinda
also
vague.
a funny Rastafarian character who comes along as a sidekick?
There are silly vampires.
Okay,
There are silly redneck vampires in
Misa want to suck your blood, sir.
Oh god. That was terrible, John.
Like that.
That was not me laughing at you or with you. I was laughing because I felt highly uncomfortable after you said that.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
and
embarrassed.
I'd just like to point out that I'm making fun of how terrible and racist and awfully stereotyped Jar Jar Binks is from the original Star Wars films. That I also think that's all a bad thing. Okay,
Yeah.
carrying on.
Carry on. Okay. Yeah. Dr. Sleep, the book was not great and the movie was even worse. The movie wasn't the book wasn't great. So like they couldn't have made a good movie.
Oh,
about
I
it.
didn't know there was a movie. So
Oh yeah,
that was nice.
Mike Flanagan, who's done only one bad movie, and that was Dr. Sleep. He's done like all horror movies. Did it, and it wasn't great because the book wasn't great. But yeah,
good times.
Probably my least favorite Stanley Kubrick book, mostly because The Shining is my favorite. And
I mean, Stephen King book. You mean?
What did I say?
Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick. He wrote it too.
Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick's. Yeah. No, I think it's time for trivia, guys. What do you think?
Oh yeah, let's. Can you take a break?
Good.
Let's do a pause.
Yeah, we're gonna do a
Save.
pause and a save.
Okay. Pause.
All right, so next week will be trivia time. We got a lot of trivia and book corner and book comparisons and etc. See you guys next week. Time travel time.
All right,
you guys already stopped and paused. Yeah, that's
I
right.
already stopped and paused.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
You got us in the third.
Okay, all right.
Stop 'em.